because they don't want the medical community or doctors or law enforcement to know what they're doing inside of these groups, especially to children, causing some to die of their beatings as well as preventable diseases. There have been outbreaks of whooping cough in several communities because of their refusal to vaccinate. The children of the 12 tribes are also employees of the organization. Let me just say that one more time. The children are also employees of the organization. From an article that I read, the community was cited for using child labor in the state of New York. So I think I told you they have a soap shop called Common Sense. So Condé Nast canceled their contract with Common Sense, soap and body lotion. And then there's also a community-produced furniture situation, kind of like the Amish, where Robert Redford actually had them featured in his Sundance catalog, and he pulled them from the catalog when the allegations of abuse and child labor came forward. In New York, I think that was in 2001, reports of children under the age of 15 working more than 12-hour days and sleeping in the factories was not uncommon. One of the largest FBI raids in U.S. history was performed in 1984, and nearly 140 children were removed from the community after alleged abuse. The case was later dismissed, and the tribe's attorney joined the community and married one of its elite members. Spriggs has said in the past, "Our children have been raised up on the rod of correction. We do not deny that, and if we go to jail for it, then we go to jail." He also blamed tragedies like the Columbine shootings as being committed by children who are not disciplined by physical punishments. He said, "A father who does not discipline his children physically is not a real father." Spriggs has also publicly thanked his school teachers, coaches, and father for beating him when he was a child, saying that through these beatings he was able to fully love them with his whole heart. So it sounds like he is a broken man, kind of using his trauma to continue a cycle of trauma. This group has like around 3,000 practitioners worldwide, I believe. A former member, in June 2015, in a small town in southern France, French police seized the children of the 12 tribes members because of allegations of abuse. It also came out publicly that the group believed in racial segregation. A former member of the French branch came out publicly and told the New York Times that he was beaten very often and many times until he bled. One time he couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. In 2013, in Bavaria, German police removed 40 children from the branch for endangering children organization has not been given like an official cult label, but to me, it's very clear that it has the trappings of a cult. You're forced to give up everything that you own, all of your money, all of your belongings. You are forced to give up all relationships outside of the organization, not allowed to attend funerals of your family members who are not a part of the organization.